Hey everybody, it's Michael Fox here with Rocky Bottom Gardens and the Genesis Project 2017. I want to touch base on a little Indian story here for you. It's got to do with some gardening and all that. It's called The Three Sisters, okay? So what The Three Sisters is, it talks about corn, beans, and squash, okay? So this is kind of an Indian way of growing these three items, okay? It's really kind of neat. It's kind of the beginnings of all of the whole organic gardening thing. This has been going on for centuries and centuries. People, before we actually had to start mass producing food the way that we do, most food was grown on an organic level and was, fairly healthy for you. So unfortunately, we're increasingly being forced to digest genetically modified foods and so forth. So, just kind of pick and choose what you want to eat in regards to a healthy lifestyle. Hopefully some of these suggestions right here, even talking about the Three Sisters, I encourage you to do a little bit of research on this. It's a cool way to grow some things. Kind of has a cool little background story to it, so you can kind of amaze your neighbors and all that whenever they say, wow, what are you doing? Oh, I'm growing some Three Sisters. Okay, so what that is, all right, and the Three Sisters, which are corn, beans, and squash, they're referred to as three beautiful sisters, and these are, Indian myths, okay, that grow in the same mound in the garden. The corn's going to provide the ladder for the beans. Then the both of them give shade to the squash, and then the squash at the same time, it bushes out on the ground, and it's going to help to protect the other two sisters with its prickly vines. And then on its leaves, they create like a little microclimate going on and some living mulch, and that helps to keep the ground moist and helps to promote growth and all that. So you're seeing all three of these products work together here really well. The beans produce nitrogen, which helps everything else grow. So they're really they're well matched, and and that's a term called companion planting. Please look that up. It's really important if you do a lot of really raised bed compact gardening. There's certain things that you really don't want to plant together. Certain things that will kind of have a bad effect on each other, and then there are other plants that will promote growth and help to prevent other predatory insects that might hurt your plants. There's just so much info in regards to gardening and just cool ways to do it naturally and get the most of what you're trying to grow. Okay, so we've got the Three Sisters here. They're all working together. They're really just kind of the perfect family. And there's many different versions of the tale. And like I said, please go online and check this out in more detail in regards to how the whole Three Sisters myth goes. Depending on what tribe you're referring to. A lot of those, have a different whole story to it, but it's all essentially the same thing. Okay, so what really is going on here is, like I said, it's organic gardening. You're going out here and you're going to make a little mound, which is about a foot high, 20 inches wide. You're going to pile in some organic materials, some compost leaves, whatever you got going on. Me personally falling back on a hugelkultur design that I really enjoy using, and I'll touch more on hugelkultur later. You could even throw in some sticks of wood down in the very bottom, and that kind of acts as a sponge for moisture. So play around a little bit with your mound, okay, as far as putting the right things in there that'll help you in a drought situation and promote growth and all that. The Indians, they put a couple of fish in them, eels, things like that. So, work around with your mound a little bit and make it good. Cow manure goes a long ways, believe it or not. So, all right. So what you want to need to do first in your mound after you make it is you put your corn seeds in there first, and you kind of want to go around the mound a little bit and kind of pop in 3 or 4 corn seeds. You don't want to do too many because it'll choke each other out. And you let the corn seeds sprout. So when they get about 6 inches tall, Then you plant your beans kind of near the corn, and then you'll pop your squash seeds on kind of the exterior of the mound, you know. And so the beans and the squash are going to grow along the same time frame. You want to give your corn a chance to kind of start to grow up. That way, when your bean sprouts out, you can start to kind of wind it around the corn, and as the corn grows, it provides a stalk for your bean. Okay, and then at the same time as your squash grows, you know, it provides those special benefits that we talked about earlier. Okay, so I am not an artist in any way. Okay, so you got you a mound, all right, and you plant you some corn, and you run some beans up it, and you got your squash right there. Super simple, looks really easy because it is. The background story is the coolest part of the whole thing. You know, just saying, hey, you know, this is my Three Sisters mound. It's really just a neat thing to learn, you know, and it kind of touches back on the whole, you know, getting with nature and seeing how it works for you kind of thing. I did find a Bible verse I'd like to share with you real quick. Okay, and we're going to find this in Genesis. So it is Genesis 1, verse 11. It says, "Then God said, let the land sprout with vegetation, every sort of seed-bearing plant, and trees that grow seed-bearing fruit. And these seeds will then produce the kinds of plants and trees from which they came." And that is what's happened. The land produced vegetation, all sorts of seed-bearing plants and trees with seed-bearing fruit. Their seeds produced plants and trees of the same kind, and God saw this, and He knew that it was good. Okay? And God does everything for us that's good. He always has. He put everything in place for us to work, to do the good works of God. You know, when He created this world, He put everything here we needed. Okay? You've just got to figure out how to use it. So, thank you for joining me for that. Once again, it's called the Three Sisters. It's a cool way to grow your corn, beans, and your squash. Okay? Thank you for joining Rocky Bottom Gardens. Have a blessed day.